Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We're going to go ahead and sneak in one more game for the month before we get to this month's Pinot with Phoenix later tonight. And for that game, we're going to go with MAG-23 Guadalcanal by Historic Wings. Now this one dumps you into, as I've mentioned, as you can probably guess, dumps you into the battle for Guadalcanal in the World War II Pacific. And this will be our first day of missions since our CO Phoenix got killed on the last mission. So we're not going to worry about resetting the scene for that. But I will try to go ahead and walk through each table as we roll on it. So with that, I think we're all set to go. So let's jump in. We'll be starting off in scheduling a combat air patrol, but we're not going to schedule one. I don't usually fly those. For our first roll, I'll bring the dice cup and shot. Our first roll will be on the weather chart here. So you can see the result on the D6, and then what the weather is going to be for the modifier. So let's see what our weather roll is for this first mission. We have a 1, oh joy, rainy weather. This could end up being a very short day. The weather will, of course, also impact the weather modifier on the mission type table, which is where we're going next. So weather gives us a -3 weather mod. So this next roll that we're going to make to determine the mission type, we're going to subtract 3 from it. That's a 2 minus 3 is a -2, but that'll reset up to a 1. We've got a land mission coming at us. The only way I think we're flying this is if I'm completely crazy. So now we go into Coast Watcher reports for land missions. Which once I set it up, I'll show you guys the table I'm rolling on. And how I roll these. North Guadalcanal, South Guadalcanal, East, West Guadalcanal, and Marine Scouts. So this is the table I'm going to be rolling on for the land missions. And the way I'm going to roll it is, you may have noticed we had 5 rows in there. So I'm going to grab out 5d6s, and then I'll roll these up all at once, and then I'll read them from closest to me back. So the closest die will be for North Guadalcanal, the next one back on a back, and then left to right will be South Guadalcanal, and so on. Alright, so looking at this, we'll start off with actually these two 4s are pretty close to us. So this 4 we'll take for North Guadalcanal. That's giving us +1 Matanacao River. Matanacao River. Then the next one is a 4, also giving us a +2 on Gold Ridge. East Guadalcanal, next one back is a 6. We're getting really good intel, but I also don't think we're flying this one. Aola and Alligator Creek. West Guadalcanal is the 1, the next one back. No report from West Guadalcanal. And then the Marine Scouts have a 6 up there, so +1 Lunga Point. And then we actually blow through the radar plot roll, since we don't have radar plots coming in yet. So we'll blow through phase 4 and go straight to the reported Japanese force table, which will be rolling on the land mission table. So we'll get all the other dice out. got here. And that doesn't apply the weather modifier. That's a 3, which means it's a critical target. So critical target is 4 infantry, 2 truck, and 2 anti-air. Now, let me make sure that, I'm pretty sure do or die means we'd lose the day. Critical target, I believe, doesn't have that same problem. Because the only way I want to fly this, mission in the rain is if I'm the Pope. And last I checked, I'm probably way too screwed up to ever have a hope in hell of being the Pope. Let me see here. Land combat. That doesn't... Okay, so if you didn't schedule a combat air patrol and did not assign any aircraft, we would lose the day on that one. Yikes. I really don't want to fly this, is the problem. Well, fortunately, it's not a do or die mission, but... Oh wait, we lose missions? We lose land and sea missions if we don't engage the targets. Gross, gross, gross. I do not want to try to fly this in the rain, though, so I think... As much as I don't want to risk the loss of a land... As much as I don't want to lose a day on the mission, or lose up for the day on the mission, I really do not want to try to fly it. Because a +3 on the weather mod because of heavy rain is just way too catastrophic an ask. And our forces are pretty well banged up at this point. I'd probably want to be sending Dauntless and Airacobras after this anyway. And those pilots aren't nearly as shaken up. The little birdie on my shoulder is telling me, don't you dare fly this mission in that heavy a rain. And I think we are going to just eat the loss on the day, on the mission. As much as I hate losing the mission without a fight, like I said, the heavy rain is just way too big an ask. So we're going to go through the end of mission assessment. We'll see if we have an additional mission charged. So we are going to be rolling on the... We're going to be rolling on the Phase 11 additional mission charge table next. We'll see if we had a mission thrown at us. I have a feeling today's after action report, at least for coming out of August or September 1st, is probably going to be more about advancing the story along. A 6 says we have no mission on the day, so the Japanese will pick up a win on the day unless something crazy happens during the post-flight. So now we have to check on disease and infection. Disease and what is that called? Yeah, infections. Which will send us into... So we're on all of the post-flight tables. We're on phase 12 first. We want to see a 3 and up on that one. That's a 4, so we have no infections that we're worried about there. Next, we're looking at Pistol-Pete Artillery. Pistol Pete Artillery We'll show the table again real quick. And once again, I want to see another 3 and up for that one. That's a 3, so no, there's 3 salvos but no hits. That's the important part. Next we're into Washing Machine Charlie, just showing off the table real quick. Phase 14. Six is once again, so this was Washing Machine Charlie, which I forgot to note in so that's no hits. Next we've got Night Infiltration. So rolling on the Night Infiltration table. Once again, I want to see something decently high. That's a 5, so no attempt. And then last up we have Louis the Louse and Naval Bombardment. And we're rolling on this table. We don't have anybody missing as of this mission. No. Reptile was our only MIA pilot, and of course he ended up coming back to us in pieces on the 30th. Up. Let's put that actually through the tower proper. 1, yikes, we're going to be taking 1d6 plus 4 hits. Jeez. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be busy on this one. So we're rolling a d6. Plus another 5 hits. So a total of 9 hits we've got coming in. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Joy! That will bring us over to the supporting missions table, so we're going to be rolling for each hit. Hopefully we get a lot of insignificant damage, but I can't even promise that. So we'll roll each of these individually. Let me think what I want to do here. I'm going to roll 2d6. The blue is going to be for the actual hit. The orange will be used in case the result actually calls for it. So for instance, if we roll a 1 on the blue die, fuel will be reduced by 1d6. The orange die will be for the fuel that we're getting reduced. So hopefully that makes sense. And I'll explain what the d6 is going to be for each hit before we go into resolving the aftermath of it. Alright, the blue 6 is insignificant damage, so we'll ignore the orange die on that one. Six is another insignificant damage, so see previous reaction to the orange die. The 3, this time we have an aircraft destroyed, and the way I normally resolve the hits, and the way I normally resolve that, is with only 3 types of aircraft right now available to us. A 1 to 2 is a Wildcat, 3 to 4 is a Dauntless, 5 to 6 is an Airacobra. That's an orange 2, which means we'll be losing a Wildcat once I find, here it is. And that will be a victory point that'll be a victory point for the Japanese. Wildcat destroyed. Actually, is that 1 VP when it's destroyed? I think so. Yeah, I think it's 1 VP for the Japanese. We've still got 6 more hits coming in. Yikes. Two is a bivouac, so we'll use that for. So we've got a bivouac, and the orange die will be for a D3. In this case, we'll be dealing with 2 pilots. So the way we're going to roll this, and this is something I've always had problems with. I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 squadrons active, so we'll roll a D6 for. Let me grab the dice I'm going to need here. Right. Oh, I've already got a D6 over there. So the way we're going to roll this is the blue D6 is going to select the squadron, the D20 is going to be the pilot number, and the orange die is going to be for a serious wound. 1 to 2 is a serious wound, 3 to 6 is a light wound. Historic Wings, welcome in. You're just in time to watch the carnage unfold on Henderson Field as we are still rolling for another 5 more hits from naval bombardment. So just a very quick recap. I started off with a -3. Well, I'll give you the short version. Weather came up with heavy rain, and the only way I wanted to fly that was if I was the Pope, and yeah, I'm more than a little too screwed up to be the Pope, so we didn't fly that. So we're busy, like I said, we're busy resolving the 4th hit of 9 from naval bombardment. Alright, so Squadron 6, pilot number 9, is going to be Funk, and Funk is going to take a light wound. We'll see how long he's out for. So it looks like I need to add a 4th die to the mix. And what did I do with my pen? I just had it in my hand. Time out for a pen delay. I get some of the weirdest delays ever. I would have needed it over here. Oh, here it is. Yeah, well, we took it on the chin, I think is an understatement for this mission. So where was I? Oh, yes. So Squadron 6, which is the VB6, Funk is taking a light wound. So I'm going to add another die to that. We're going to add a green die in case we get a light wound so we know how long he's out for. 2 days. And so Funk takes a light wound. I kind of figured this was going to be a day to just advance the story along anyway, which will be reflected in the after-action report, but I'm getting more than a little ahead of myself. So just to explain what all dice I've got in here now that I've had to add a couple dice, so you're not looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? Blue die is for the hit. The orange die is in case, actually the other 3 dice are in case I need them. Blue die is for the actual hit. Orange die is in case the roll calls for a D6 roll, and I'll explain what it is as part of the hit. D20 is going to be squadron hit in case I get another bivouac, and green die, actually I've got a second pilot before I get that far. So, hold on, somebody decided to be an idiot and jump ahead. So now to explain what the die roll is on our second bivouac hit. Blue die is for squadron selection, brown D20 is for pilots, pilot selection. Actually, orange die is for the wound. 1 to 2 would be a serious wound, 3 to 6 is a light wound. Green die is in case this gives me a light wound, how many days the pilot is out for. All right, so that's in Squadron 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're in the VMF 224 Squadron. Pilot number 4 is one of our flight leaders. That's Caesar. The orange die is a light wound. He's out for 6 days. So Caesar takes a light wound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Well, we're probably not going to be too much longer, Magnus. Welcome in, by the way. We're probably going to just pull together an after-action report from this one and then call it a stream. I've got a few things going on, so I wanted to sneak in a quick game before Pino with Phoenix later tonight. So this is our 5th of 9 hits that we're dealing with from naval bombardment. And now we'll explain what this is actually for. Blue die is for the actual hit. Orange is for the event. The D20 and the green D6 are what will be explained if they're needed. Alright, a 6 is very welcome insignificant damage. We don't need to be taking more carnage out of this one. So this is hit number 6 that we're dealing with, and that's our 4th insignificant damage roll. If you think I mind that, then you need serious mental help. Well, wait for the after-action report. We'll see. I think this one's going to be mostly moving the story along. Another insignificant damage. Three is an aircraft, so the orange die will be for 1 to 2, being for the plane type. 1 to 2 is a Wildcat, 3 to 4 is a Dauntless, 5 to 6 is going to be an Airacobra. That's an orange 3, so we'll be losing another Airacobra, which is another VP to the Japanese. And then our last hit that's a fuel, so we'll be reducing by 5 barrels of fuel. Let me note that in the 5 destroyed. That could have gone a whole hell of a lot worse. So 9 hits on Louis the Louse and naval bombardment, 5 insignificant damage hits, a Wildcat and an Airacobra destroyed, Funk with a light wound out for 2 days, and Caesar with a light wound also out 6 days, and 5 barrels of fuel destroyed. Given that I was dealing with 9 hits, and I'm sure you'll tell me, Historic Wings, that could have been a whole hell of a lot worse very quickly. So now the last thing we need to do is random events. And this roll is going to be a lot simpler than a lot of those were. That will bring us to the random events table. And the way we're going to roll that is I've got 3d6. I've got a blue and 2 orange. If I get a 1 to 2 on the blue die, then the 2 orange dice will be for what the event actually is. So let's see what we get here. On a 3 to 6, on a 3 to 6 on the blue die, I'll ignore the orange dice. That's a 4, so no random event. And that's the end of the day, so 2 VP for the Japanese versus 0 US and a critical target skipped. So that will all translate to a loss for the day. And now I'm going to go ahead and write up the after action report. So the stream is going to go on intermission, but so the stream will go into an intermission while I type up this after action report. But I will be around interacting with chat. You'll probably hear the keyboard start clacking here. Wonder what it would have felt like for the pilots a day like this when they just had to stand down and watch as the base gets ravaged. Probably not a good feeling, but we'll see a little bit in the after action report. Get back up here, Notepad. Stop it. Alright. Getting up from my knee, and we're ready for the after action report from this mission. So we're writing this one from CO Ruff's perspective. It could have been me. Those 5 words didn't stop permeating my nightmares last night. I couldn't stop dreaming about the crash that killed Phoenix yesterday. As such, I was still groggy, and almost before I knew what they were doing, my feet were taking me back out to the runway, specifically to the spot where Phoenix's plane came to rest after his crash. Such a cruel fate for him. He took pains to make sure we didn't go home under a flag, but that is ultimately his fate. In my brooding, I hardly noticed the heavy rain on my face until Sparky came to find me, similarly wet. We just shared a quiet moment at the spot where Phoenix died, but there was no time to brood. Sparky had a report for me of a land mission with very good intel from almost everyone. I looked at the report and immediately tore it up. I knew Phoenix wouldn't have flown it in a million years, and now it fell to me to get the men under my command home safe, having pushed the Japanese back. Thankfully, the rest of the day was very quiet except for naval bombardment rocking the base. We mostly stayed ahead of the damage except for losing a Wildcat and an Airacobra along with some fuel, and Funk and Caesar got banged up. Funk will be out for 2 days, and Caesar will be out for six. Nothing else of note for the day, and we knew the Japanese had won the day. Still, sometimes we have to take it on the chin and get some rest to inflict big damage later. And that will do it for a very quiet day of MAG-23 Guadalcanal. Yes, it was a brutal day, but again, it could have been a whole lot worse, and that's the theme I'm kind of coming out of this day with. I probably, like I said, I think we're going to call it a game right there. I wanted to try to sneak in a quick video before another quick game before Pina with Phoenix later tonight. So, speaking of what else is coming up on the channel, as I mentioned, later tonight, Pina with Phoenix for September 2024. I'm hoping that'll go live at about 8 o'clock Central Time. Wednesday we'll be playing Aeon's End. I don't know if that's going to be a stream or a recorded video yet. The test for Astro Knights this morning actually went pretty well on the stream front, but we'll see what I think of streaming on... Well, we'll know if I'm streaming on that. Saturday we're starting Mystical Munchies out of a new cookbook, but we'll have more on that during Pina with Phoenix as well. Next week we'll be playing a new game, well, new-ish game. We'll be doing some freeform Call of Cthulhu. We've done Call of Cthulhu, the Alone Adventures in the past, but this time is going to be freeform, and I'll explain how that will work when we get to that video. And we'll catch up with chat. Dang, your writing is really good. So personal and emotional. Your after-action reports are superb. Personal touch is spot on to how the actual diaries were. Amazed at how fast I write, too. Yeah, it helps when I'm not trying... It helps when I keep my notes mostly straight, and I'm actually typing on... I'm actually a pretty fast typist on the keyboard. I'd rather not try to write the stories, the full stories, and then have to try to read my handwriting later. So glad you caught the video, even if it was the tail end of it. Thanks for the kind words on that historic wings. And speaking of the end of the video, thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.